Hello everyone! Welcome to my channel. Welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be going over all of my purchases from last year, so 2024. I attempted to do a low buy last year, attempted being the key word, so I'm going to go over month by month what I purchased, what I still even have in my collection, what I haven't tried yet, my thoughts on how I did overall for my purchasing habits in 2024. So if all of that sounds good to you, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't yet. I would love it if you stuck around. But with all that, let's just get into it. All right, so I know this video is usually popular more so in December, but I wanted to do it now, so that's what I'm gonna do. It's always really eye-opening for me to look at my purchases as a whole for the entire year. Like when I look at it month by month, I'm like, oh, I didn't really purchase that many things. But then I look at the sheer number of things for the entire year, and it gets a little humbling. It gets humbling very quickly. Like I said, last year was the first year I attempted to do a no buy. I was trying to do around 3 items a month. We'll see how that went as the months progressed. I was not successful, but you know, it just helps me keep in mind overall doing this video when I'm making purchases in the future, like how much I actually have, how much I haven't touched, and how much I've decluttered that maybe I purchased and just didn't like. So I rethink things going forward doing these videos on, will this just be something that I declutter in 6 months' time? Because I don't want to do that. That's just a waste of money. Now we are going to go month by month because I think that that's just the easiest, and it was pretty easy for me to pull all those purchases together because I do a series on my channel with my purchases and empties every month. So I will link that playlist up above, but I could just kind of go back, reference them, and pull all those products. So that was really helpful. Those videos usually go up the first Thursday of every month. So let's just get started with January. I thought that January was going to be really, really tough for me because January is my birthday month. There was going to be the after holiday sales, and I would justify it by saying it was my birthday, but it was actually the best month for me in terms of what I purchased. I only purchased 2 things in January. So the first one is the Guerlain Terracotta Concealer. I'm pretty sure I did a dedicated review on this. I will link it down in the description box. Any videos, related videos to any of these products will be listed down in the description box. There probably won't be enough iCards for me to link it up above. But I like this concealer. It's okay. It's a little bit matte. I don't think it's for everyone. If you like a radiant concealer, this is not for you. Do I think it's like worth the luxury price point? Not really, but it's a decent concealer, and considering I've just kind of done a big declutter a couple months ago, this stuck around, so it's a nice one. I don't mind having it. The second product that I purchased was the Makeup by Mario. This is the Soft Sculp Transforming Skin Enhancer. I have the shade Light. Now, I didn't pay that much money for this because I used my Sephora reward. Here in France, for Sephora, you get a $30 gift card on your birthday month. And I ended up going with this because I had kind of had it on the back burner of my wish list for a while. I figured if I wasn't going to pay too much money for it, I might as well pick it up. And it's okay. It's not my favorite cream bronzer whatsoever. It is a little bit light for me. I did that on purpose because I thought it would be a good one for no makeup days when I wanted like a little bit of bronze, but not too much. So it's all right. I'm glad I only paid like $5 for this. Now we move into February, and I had 3 purchases in February, but I only have 2 products here to talk about today. So the first one is my first declutter that we're going to talk about, and it is the Beauty Bay Reckless Romance palette. I did a dedicated review on that palette. It was actually my first Beauty Bay palette that I tried. And while I loved that palette, I actually went on to purchase a lot of other Beauty Bay palettes. The color story for me, I decided wasn't one I was going to keep around in my collection, and that's why I decided to declutter it. It just was a little bit too dark and grungy for me, and it's not my style. There was no other reason other than that, just that I own a lot of palettes and I was really trying to pare down my collection. So that unfortunately is gone. The second item that I have to talk about is now my first unopened product, which is a Chanel quad. This was actually a gift from my husband for Valentine's Day. It's in the colorway 388 Eclat de Nuit. I don't know why I haven't used this. I just haven't gotten around to it. Story of my life. It's a really pretty cool tone palette. I did pick this out. So like, yes, it was a gift, but also like I chose it. So I think it kind of counts as a purchase, but this is what it looks like. It's really pretty. I love this like taupey shade. It has like a really pretty cool tone color story. Maybe I'll bring this out for holiday time this year and reach for it. I could see this like being like a really pretty, just like wintry Christmas party with like a beautiful dress. I don't know. That's what I see with this. And maybe that's why I haven't used it yet, because I have not gone to a party in quite some time. So that's my first unopened palette. And it's been over a year since I've had this. And then my third purchase in February was the Ensley Groovy Gardens palette. This is my favorite Ensley palette, even though I'm not purchasing from them right now. I would recommend this palette if you are. I love the mattes in here. I find them to be the perfect amount of like muted but desaturated. The shimmers aren't my favorite shimmers from Ensley. Like I find a little bit of redundancy here. They do look different enough on the eye. I think they look more like the same in the pan. Don't love this like red shade because I'm just not a red lover, but this still is my favorite palette from them and I would recommend it. I like it a lot and I like that you can pop the shades out. So this was my third purchase in February. Now March might have been my most disappointing month as far as what I still have that I purchased, because I purchased, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things in March, and I have one of them. It is the Ilia foundation stick. I have the shade 9N Tupelo. I really, really enjoy this foundation stick. This was kind of when foundation sticks were starting to become really popular and trendy. Did a dedicated review on this as well. Really fantastic foundation stick. I think they advertised it as like a foundation concealer in one. I don't know if I agree with that. I can't remember if it like built well on top of itself or not, but I remember it looked really natural on the skin. It was long wearing. It was a natural finish. And overall, I really, really enjoyed using this. And that's why I still have it. The other things that I purchased were the Kiko Milano. I purchased the Days in Bloom eyeshadow palette collection. So there were 2 9-pan eyeshadows that came in that collection and I purchased them both, did a review on them, and really just did not like them. I decluttered those pretty quickly after doing my review on them. I just found them to wear away very quickly. It wasn't a great formula. I've had other Kiko Milano palettes in the past that I like and I still have, but this one was different. It was also very small, overpriced, and just overall not a fun time for me. So I ended up decluttering those. And then the other eyeshadow palettes that I purchased is I purchased the Odens Legendary Diversa 2 collection. So that was a collection of 3 palettes, one with Annette, one with Tina the Fancy Face, and then one from Judy. I decluttered the one from Tina first, which was like Earthwood. And then I just decided when I did my big eyeshadow palette declutter, I'll link that video up above, to declutter Spring Magic and Mighty Monster. That was like the first collection where I found the quality from Odens to really, really be lacking. And it's kind of about the time where I just stopped purchasing from Odens because I couldn't tell if the formula was going to be their formula from before when they were really popular, or if it was going to be this new, unpredictable formula. So I ended up decluttering those. And then the last thing that I purchased that I ended up decluttering was the Lisa Eldridge Skin Tint. I purchased the shade 4 and it was just way, way too light for me. Had I purchased my correct shade, I don't think I would declutter it because it does have a place in my collection, but it just wasn't worth it. The shade, like I just could not make the shade work. It was way, way too light. It is supposed to be flexible. Again, I did a foundation review and wear test on it that I will link, but I didn't find it to be the best product. It definitely didn't live up to the expectation that Lisa Eldridge made it sound when I watched her video. And I think it's a very targeted product. A lot of Lisa Eldridge's products I find are very targeted to a specific group of people. And I think that's a little bit of her downfall, is that it doesn't appeal to mainstream people, and she'll always kind of be like a very small brand because of that. And if that's what she likes, that's fine. Like, it's her brand, she can do it how she wants. But I do think that a lot of her products can be very niche, and that just wasn't really a product for me. So those were my purchases in March. We are going to jump right into April. And for April, I have all of the products that I purchased. Luckily, none have been decluttered. So the first one that I have is the Natasha Denona Powder Foundation. I have the shade 3. My intention was to do a first impression review wear test on this, never got around to it. I actually cracked this open for the first time a couple of months ago. It's a nice powder foundation. The thing is with powder foundations, at least for me, I don't like wearing them on top of a liquid foundation. For me, it's like a quick, easy foundation that I just apply with the brush by itself. I don't like having the extra coverage. So because of that, I don't use it as much as maybe I should. It's going to take me forever to go through this powder, especially considering the amount of powder foundations I have in my collection. So it's all right. I would recommend this if you're a powder foundation lover. I thought that it melted into the skin. It didn't look powdery on the skin. It's really, really nice. Just not the product that is one I'm going to reach for day in and day out. The second product that I have is the Gucci bronzer. Now, I've talked about this before, but just like with the Sephora rewards, I also get a $50 credit to Saks Fifth Avenue every 6 months. So from like January to June, I can make some kind of purchase. $50 will get reimbursed to me from Saks Fifth Avenue. It's just a credit card perk that I have, and then I get it again July to December. So usually I pick something that's a little bit luxury that maybe I wouldn't purchase and spend the money on. That for the beginning half of 2024 was this Gucci bronzer. Kind of had it on my list, so I paid whatever this is worth minus $50. It's okay. It's not my favorite bronzer whatsoever. I think I just was disappointed from how much hype I had heard around this bronzer, and it really didn't meet my expectations. The shade is okay. It's a nice kind of neutral, cool shade, so I do like that. I love the coloring, but the packaging does feel pretty cheap and bulky. I don't love that, and I don't love it when brands do this like flippy thing because I just never use this brush down here. So that's what I purchased in April, but like I'm not mad as much because I didn't spend as much money on it. The last thing I purchased was the Unearthly Spring Magic palette. This was about the time where I started to become hyper-focused with Unearthly. By this point, I had already done my 3 looks, 3 palettes with the Sorceress Smoke, the Fall Magic, and the Dreamer palette. I'll link that video down below. So when I saw this for spring, I had to have it. I do like most of this palette. I don't love the size that they started doing with these 18 pan palettes. I prefer the 12 pans, but it's fine. I love all these shades except for these 2 like tealy blues here, but it's only 2 shades out of the 18, so I deal with it. I remember I used this in a video and I used like this quad here or something like that, and it was a really pretty neutral look. And I have no complaints about this palette. It is the great Unearthly formula that I know and love. If you like this color story, definitely would recommend picking it up. And then that was everything for April. We now move into May, which May might have been my biggest month. I'm looking, I couldn't fit everything on my desk. I had to put some things on the floor and then we'll like move things over as we get further and further into the months. May was my worst month, and I'll tell you why. It's because in May, I went to Louisiana. My brother had just finished graduating college and he was being promoted to an officer in the Marines. So we kind of did like a big family reunion to celebrate him. And it's the first time like all my siblings and I and my parents were together in like a very long time. I'm one of 5, so it just kind of gets hard to get all of us in the same spot. And with that, like I kind of took advantage of things that I couldn't purchase here in Europe. So I knew that I was going to purchase quite a bit of products, and I certainly lived up to those expectations. So let's go over what I purchased in May. Should we do palettes first? Let's do palettes first. So I purchased the Adept Amy Loves collab. I'm actually surprised that did this come out around this time? Like, I can't remember because this feels like a wintry palette to me. I know that Amy Loves likes her cool tones, but I don't remember if I purchased this late or if this released around this time. Either way, this was a newer Adept palette to me. I think at the time I had only tried one Adept palette that I wasn't really in love with, but I really wanted to support the collaborator. I liked the color story, so that's why I ended up taking a chance and picking up this palette. It's really pretty. It's a little bit too cool toned for me personally. And the mattes are very, very pigmented. It takes a long time. Like, I don't think that it's an easy to use matte formula. It takes a long time to shear them out and build them to the type of pigmentation that you want, unless you want that immediately pigmented matte, which I don't. So I don't find it to be beginner friendly, but it is a nice palette. I do like having it. And because of this palette, I ended up purchasing other Adept palettes. Then we have the Wicked Widow. This is the Lovesick palette. I had heard so many good things about this palette. Really wanted to try it by myself. I unfortunately have not used this palette though. Valentine's Day just keeps getting away from me, and for some reason I've told myself I can only use this during Valentine's Day. I am not going to do that. It is my mission this year to use this palette. I just haven't gotten to it yet, but I will. I definitely will. Next palette, also unused, is from Terra Moon Cosmetics. This is the Lovers on the Sun palette. It's this little 6-pan palette, and it is stunning. This palette was so expensive because of these shimmer shades. Still have not used this palette. This is also one that I vowed to myself that I will use before the end of the year. It just has kind of sat in the back of my drawer and got neglected, but this is a beautiful, beautiful palette. When I saw the swatches for this, I instantly knew I had to have it. They released 2 different palettes, this one and like a different one, but I knew this is the one that I wanted to have, so I did purchase this. And then the last palette that I purchased was the ColourPop Twilight palette. I am happy to say that I have used this palette. It did take me a while, but I did use it. And here's what it looks like. Again, like a little bit more cool toned for my preferences now. I was definitely in like a really big cool tone phase. I think just maybe because it was summertime recently, I was gravitating towards warm tones. We'll see if I go back into the cool tone time when it gets a little bit cooler. But also, like, this is like cool tone grungy. It's very different. I think they did a good job with the theming around this palette. I just don't know if I love all the colors in here. Maybe with like the blues too. I'm not like a big blue fan, so I don't know. It's an okay palette. I like having it, but I could go without it. Now we get into the non-palette things that I purchased in May. Should I go through my Ulta haul? I think so. I'm going to hear rumblings around. Yeah, let's go over the things that I purchased at Ulta because I did make like an Ulta run when I was there. There's no Ulta in France. So the first thing I purchased was the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in the shade Milk. I had never had this, and I don't know why I had my like brain that I needed to have this all of a sudden. Haven't used it yet still because clearly like this is just not a step that I do. I really don't use eye primer, so like having an eye base is kind of silly to me, but I have it in case I ever need it. The other thing that I purchased was a Lancome. This is like an eye blusher in Canyon Clay. Actually don't mind this. This was kind of an impulse purchase. I just saw it on display and thought it was really pretty. I haven't been swatching things, but I thought this would be like a really pretty one and done shadow. And it is, and this does not move. Like this does not move, but you really have to shear it out, I think, to get the color that I want from this. It is really nice. I don't hear anyone talking about this product, but I thought it was really nice and I enjoy having it. Then I purchased two things from Half Magic Beauty. I saw their display there. I don't know where you can get Half Magic Beauty here in Europe, so that's why I kind of prioritized them. The first thing I got was this cheek fluff in Don't Be a Doll. I really love this cream blush here. It's kind of like that cream to powder finish. A cheek fluff is the perfect word for it. I have used this and I really enjoy it. Nothing bad to say. Would purchase other shades of this if I didn't have such a large collection. And then because I purchased the cream blush and I was like looking at the display, I could not resist this single eyeshadow. This is in Blushing Lizard, which I think is their most popular shade. It is stunning. It is so beautiful. I do not like this like cardboard packaging, but I know it's for environmental reasons, so I won't get too upset about it. But this is so beautiful. I can see why it's their most popular shade. It just has like these really pretty blue to pink sparkles in it. And it looks stunning. I have used this and I love it. I purchased 3 foundations because of course I did. Foundation is one of my favorite categories. Dolce & Gabbana came out with their skin tint, so I did end up purchasing this and doing a foundation review and wear test on it. Love this skin tint. It's really, really great. Everything that I've tried from Dolce & Gabbana continues to surprise me, and we have other Dolce & Gabbana products that we're going to talk about later on. I also purchased the About Face The Performer foundation. This I really, really like, but it is quite dark for me. They didn't have my shade in store. I wanted LM1, but I got LM2, and it's just way too dark for me. And because I couldn't pick it up in France, I ended up just going with that shade. And unfortunately now, like, I have to use it as a mixer. I don't even think I'd get dark enough in like my darkest of darkest to be able to wear this. And then the last foundation I picked up was the Wet n Wild Niacinamide Skin Tint. I have not tried this. I did have plans to do a foundation review and wear test on it, but never did, never got the opportunity. So it sits in my drawer of shame. I really should pull this out and test this. I heard really good things about it, but I just have not yet done that. And then the last things that I purchased in May, I made a ColourPop order. So I picked up a bunch of liners. I think they did some kind of like $5 sale, and I only had brown, black, neutral liners. So I kind of was thinking like I should get some colors and put them in the waterline. I have used them all, but really I have to force myself to use these. So I picked up 3, 6, 7 of them. I tried my best to rein it in and not get too many crazy ones. I think I have 2 multi-chromes, which is this one. Yeah, Power Trip. Then this one, which is Acting Up. And then I wanted to get like some pastels. So I picked up Prance. I think this is called Calabasas. Yeah, like a baby pink. A lilac in Amethyst Hour. Then a dark purple, because I do a lot of purple looks in Plum Smash. Not a multi-chrome. And then kind of like this bronzy color in Hit the Jackpot. So I do use these from time to time, but I definitely just am not like color in the lower lash line girl like some people are, but I am happy to at least have the option, and I am happy that I picked like a more affordable brand if I was going to have that. And then while I picked those up, I think maybe to get free shipping, I don't know, but I had been wanting this little heart blush for a long time, was kind of waiting to just add it onto an order. This is in Flirt Alert. And I really like having this. I knew it wasn't a product I needed at anytime soon. So that's why I waited until it was an add-on when I made a ColourPop purchase, because I don't buy too many things from ColourPop, and I'm happy to have this. So that was everything that I purchased in May. Let me just make sure. No, it's not. No, it's not. We have some other things that I purchased in May that I actually did declutter. My sister and I, that's right, I'm remembering now. My sister and I went to like an outlet shopping strip, and they had the cosmetic company there. I have never been inside a cosmetic company, but everyone always talks about them. And the number one thing I wanted to get there were Tom Ford quads. So I ended up picking 3 Tom Ford quads for 50% off. I picked up Honeymoon, Smoky Quartz, and Forbidden Pink. I recently decluttered all 3 of these because I just found them. I didn't like Smoky Quartz. It was like a cream, one of his cream formulas, and I just didn't like it. Honeymoon wasn't really my color story. And then Forbidden Pink was also a little bit dark. I only kept one Tom Ford quad that I had in my collection that I purchased years ago, which I believe is Nude Dip, but I decluttered all of those. And then I also decluttered Too Faced Natural Nudes because I had made like a large order at the cosmetic company. I got to pick a Too Faced palette for free. So I ended up picking the Natural Nudes, which I had already had in my collection and decluttered. But I was like, well, I'm getting it for free. Like maybe I'll pick it up again. My sister didn't want it, so I ended up keeping it. And then I just decluttered it again because it was unused. And I was like, this is just sitting unused. I might as well sell it to someone who will actually use it. So I did. So that's everything that I purchased in May with 4 things that I decluttered. Let's now get into June. Now for June, you'd think I slow down because I purchased so much in May. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So in June, I did declutter some things, but let's go with the things that I have first. The first thing that I have is the Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Unreal Skin Sheer Glow Tint. I have the shade 4, and this actually surprised me. Again, did a video on this. I liked this so much more than I anticipated. I thought that I was going to hate it because I do not like the Hollywood Flawless Filter. I had decluttered that product, but for some reason I really, really like this. It's like I really, really like this. It's perfect in the summertime, like beach days, everything. For me, it's not too glowy. As someone who does not love a glowy foundation, like I don't know what it is, but I really did enjoy this product. Then I purchased a few things from Givenchy. At the time, like Givenchy is confusing me, first of all. This is when I first started to get confused about Givenchy. But they released a new shade in their Prism Libre powder. That's been going crazy viral. Like they had an old formula, then they made a new formula. People didn't like the new formula because it was luminous and not matte. So I wanted to try the new formula, or the new shade, which was 00 Tulle Opalescence, but I have no idea if this is the new formula or the old formula. I do know that the new formula doesn't have talc in it, but this doesn't have the ingredients on it. The box had the ingredients, and I threw away the box. I think this is the old version because I find it to be matte. Since I picked up the mini, let me rewind if you can keep up, sorry. So I purchased the new shade in 002 Opalescence, and then I picked up the viral shade in 03 Vol Rose, the pink one, because I did not have either of these shades. I did like a side-by-side comparison with these. Like I said, I think it's the old version, but I have no idea because it did say that it was new, and I don't even know if 00 Tulle Opalescence is available in the US because last I had checked, which was a while ago, admittedly, like it wasn't available. So I have no idea what's going on with that. On top of that, I also picked up a Givenchy pressed powder. This is the product that actually got me to fall in love with the Givenchy Prism Libre powder because I saw that they released this pressed powder 2 years ago because I bought it and did a review on it. I will link that video up above, and I loved it. Loved it. Like I have almost hit pan on that powder, but in the US it wasn't released. Never released. Like we never heard anything about it, but it was available in Europe, so I did not understand. And then when I went to purchase the 2 loose ones, I saw that these were on sale, the pressed ones. I still have this in the box because it's a backup for me. I have the shade 02 Satin Blanc in this one. In my original, I have 01 Mussolini Pastel. This is what this one looks like. This is an amazing powder, but it was on sale. So I thought that they were discontinuing this powder. But little did I know, because I do not work for Givenchy and I do not know the ins and outs of their company, what they did is they made the loose version radiant, and then they came out finally with their pressed version that's matte. So I have the old packaging. The new packaging now is like shiny to match this. So maybe this is the new version because it's shiny. I have no idea. It doesn't really matter. All I know is I like the loose powder and I like this pressed powder. So I have the old version of the pressed powder. I purchased this on sale so I could have it. My old one, let me just go grab it. Let me grab it. My old one looks like this. This is my old one. in Mussolini Pastel. You'll see how much I love this powder. Like, it is all busted. It looks great on the skin. I don't know if it's the same formula as their new ones. All I can say is this is really nice. That's all I can say, and I'm confused by Givenchy as much as the next person, but it seems like they've gotten their stuff together and people are happy. They're no longer complaining about the loose powder formula. Moving on. That was a whole thing. Moving on. So next thing that I purchased was the YSL bronzer in 02. Really like this. This had released, I think, around February time, and I had just finally got my hands on it. Kind of been on a little bit of a luxury bronzer kick, so you're going to see some other luxury bronzers that I purchased last year, but I had finally purchased this one. It's a really nice, it's a super, super matte bronzer though, so if you don't like that, then you won't like this bronzer. And then, of course, I purchased some palettes. So first one was the Gloss Gods Let's Get Nude. I think this might be my favorite Gloss Gods palette. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking of doing a Gloss Gods ranking. Let me know down below if that would be interesting to you, because I think they have really great palettes and there's a lot to choose from, but I think this is my favorite. It's tough. I'm not going to say that with certainty. And then the other two palettes that I still have that I purchased in June were from Kema Cosmetics. I know Kema Cosmetics is in hot water right now. Do not plan on purchasing from them for a while, unfortunately, until I see some change. It's just not a good look, just not a good look. I will say I like these palettes though. I originally wanted the Bougie Boudoir, which looks like this. Really enjoy this palette. I will say it's very, very nice if you have this on your wish list. And then Skull and Roses came out first, which this palette I actually have not used yet. But I really liked this palette. I think this kind of got them on the map. A lot of people were looking at them from this palette, and I wanted it, but it wasn't like perfect. And then when the Bougie Boudoir came out, I was like, well, I'm going to get both. So I got both. I just have not used this palette yet. So that's where we're at for Kema Cosmetics. And then the items that I don't have with me that I decluttered was the Yensa Stick Foundation. I did a full first impression wear test on that foundation. If you saw it, you know how much I hated it, which is why I don't have it anymore. It was one of the very, very first foundations that I just loathed. Had to get rid of it. I hated it so much. So that is gone. And that's the only thing that I have from June that I decluttered. So now we're halfway through the year. Let's see how the rest of the year went. Starting with July, that comes after June. And I had a lower July, actually. It wasn't too bad of a July. Still purchased some palettes, of course, but we'll start with the bronzer. Like I said, I was on a luxury bronzer kick. So I purchased the Giorgio Armani bronzer in the shade 90. This is really pretty, but the complete opposite of the YSL, where the YSL is super matte. This is pretty glowy. This is like a summer bronzer. I do not like the size of this. I don't see why brands have to come out with ginormous products. I just think it's unnecessary, but it's whatever. I don't love a glowy bronzer. Like, I much prefer a matte bronzer, but this is really pretty for its time and place. Like in summer, if I want to be like a bronze goddess, it's really nice. Then the only two palettes I purchased, the only two is what I say, if you just look at July, these two here. Let's start with this one. This is the Beauty Bay Botanical palette. Like I said, after I bought the Reckless Romance, I really fell in love with the Beauty Bay formula, and Botanical is my favorite Beauty Bay palette. I love this so, so much. They did like discontinue this palette because it was limited edition, and then they kind of re-released it in their own way with like within their permanent line. It's not the same, it's different. I don't think it's as great, but it's fine. I have this one and I'm happy with it. If you couldn't get this palette, I'm really, really sorry. It's one of my favorite palettes in my collection. And then the other palette that I purchased was from Electrum Cosmetics. It's Midnight Moth. I've not used this palette. This is what it looks like. I've mentioned this before in some other videos. I ordered this on like a pre-order, and it took like 4 months to get to me. And by the time it got to me, it just was kind of old news. So it kind of got pushed behind for newer things, and that's why I just haven't used this. But this, again, with like some other palettes, is on my list to try before the year is done. I vow to myself that I will do that. Now we move into August. August wasn't too bad. Mostly palettes. As you can see, I am like still on a palette kick. I don't know what my deal is. I just can't get enough of it, which is very surprising because when I first started my makeup journey, like eyeshadow was my least favorite thing. I think that's part of it, is I didn't feel like I was good at eyeshadow. And as I've been practicing more and more, I feel like I've gotten a little bit better at it. So now I'm just like, I want all the palettes. Yeah, because everyone's different, whereas like, you know, you can only have the same bronzer over and over and over before it gets a little bit tiring. But like eyeshadow palettes, like it's a little bit different, right? Like it's still a purple palette, but like different purples. And that's how I justify it. But for August, I have 3 products, not too bad of a month. I purchased the NYX Buttermelt Bronzer. This is not my favorite bronzer. It's super, super pigmented. I purchased it because everyone was talking about how great it is, that they bought like all the shades, the blushes came out. People love the blushes. I didn't end up buying the blushes. I only bought this bronzer, and it's just like so pigmented. It's hard to work with. It looks nice on the skin. I don't mind it, but it's just so pigmented and hard to work with that I don't end up reaching for it a lot. It does smell nice, but that's not all it has going for it. I don't hate it enough to declutter it, but I could see myself decluttering it maybe like down the line. And then the 2 palettes I purchased were the Glaminatrix Barely Basic. I really, really enjoy this palette. I love the layout of it, how it goes down in columns. I love the iridescence at the top. I thought this was really nice for Glaminatrix. I did recently purchase the Nearly Natural, and I think like the revamped version. I think I like Barely Basics more, just the layout. I find them to be a little bit too similar, to be honest. I think they could have done something different with Nearly Natural, but we're talking about this one. Yeah, solid palette. Really like this one. If it was for me, I would recommend this one over the new Nearly Natural, personally. And then the second palette that I purchased was the Blend Bunny Longing palette. I've been wanting to try Blend Bunny for so long, but none of the palettes really spoke to me because they're much more colorful, much more rainbow, and that is just not my vibe. So when Longing came out, I was like, okay, maybe I can make this work for me. Like finally, maybe I can see what everyone's talking about when they talk about how much they love Blend Bunny. And you know, this is a nice palette. I believe I did a video on this, like a dedicated video. My issue is just like, I like light tones and mid-tones. This entire row of dark tones here, I could have done completely without. Like there's enough dark tones here. They are different shades, but I find them to be very similar on the eye. And that would have made the palette a little bit smaller and better for me personally. It's not my favorite. I think I'm going to purchase the Ellis Atlantis 2 collection because that's definitely much more up my alley. It's a neutral palette, so hopefully I can have that palette. And then I don't know. This is a little bit on my chopping block, but I also don't want to get rid of it because it is a really nice formula. So I don't know. I'm undecided about this. If this is your color story, super recommend. Like the formula is solid, but for me, I just don't know if it needs to be in my collection when I have over 200 palettes. You know what I mean? Now we get into September. I purchased 4 palettes, no complexion products, no bronzer, no blush, no highlight, just palettes. And 2 of them were from Natasha Denona. I can't remember which one came out first. I think maybe the golden palette came out and then I Need a Nude. So I purchased 2 at the same time. Like I kind of waited on the golden. Then when I Need a Nude came out, purchased both at the same time. Did I not just say that? But here's what I Need a Nude looks like. I have already used this palette, No Pan Left Behind, this year, so super happy with that. It is a really nice palette, quite like it actually. It is warm tone without being the bronze palette, and I think she did a good job with this one. It's like a more modern take on the bronze palette. And then golden palette, look, I know this looks like a boring palette, but quite honestly, I love it. I love it a lot. I know people were a little bit upset because it's supposed to be the newer version to the gold palette and it doesn't have like the teals in it. I don't mind it because this is like a solid neutral palette. Honestly, I'm quite happy with this. Like it a lot. No complaints. Glad I have it. The other 2 palettes I purchased were still from Indie. The first one being the Simply Posh Cosmetics Coastal palette. I have not used this palette yet. Have not used it. Still has the Shade Saver on it. I love Simply Posh's formula. They recently came out with their other summer palette, which is the Down to Earth, and I think it looks very similar to this, so I'm going to be skipping that palette. I feel like maybe I missed my chance using this because summer's over, but I might just like use this as a play around palette when I'm feeling like playing with makeup, making some eye looks, to finally use it and get some use out of it, because I am trying to use all of my palettes, no pan left behind style. But for now, it sits in the back with the others waiting to be used. And then the last palette that I purchased for September was the Nomad Cosmetics Haunted Europe palette. I had wanted this palette so bad. It was actually a palette that I had considered purchasing off of Mercari for like an obscene amount of money. And thank God Nomad said that they were coming back out with this palette. So very, very happy with that. And it completely lives up to the hype. One of my favorite Nomad palettes. I did recently, a couple months ago, do a video ranking all of my Nomad palettes. So if I can, I will link it up above, but it will definitely be in the description box. This is one of my favorites. Very, very happy to have this. Love the mattes, love the shimmers. It's a little bit dark and definitely spooky themed, which is fine. So I don't use it all the time because it's not my personal preference, but for what it is, like, I really, really enjoy this palette. And now we get into October. There actually hasn't been that many that I've decluttered. I did add them up, but I think as we got later into the year, I kept more and more things. Like I was actually at least making better choices. I don't know if that's how you want to look at it. But let's now go over October purchases. The first thing that I have on my list is this little Lisa Eldridge palette. This is the Fawn palette. This is my favorite Lisa Eldridge palette. I think so. It's just perfect. Did a dedicated video on this. Lisa Eldridge is just hit or miss for me. I would really love to get the Desert Gleam palette, which is kind of like this green grungy tone, that kind of like this eye look a little bit, but because her formula is not consistent, I'm not going to spend $65 on a 6-pan palette. I will say though that this is really pretty, and if you wanted to spend $65 on like these greeny golds, I would go for it. Maybe if it was on sale, I would pick it up, but I did like this. I do like this. It's my favorite Lisa Eldridge palette. Next up, I made another purchase from Gloss Gods. I purchased the Dancing in the Sky palette. I immediately picked this up because this was a palette that had been discontinued and then they brought it back. It's one of their special effect palettes where it has all special shades in here and it is stunning, but I haven't used it. I don't know why. I need to. I really need to. I almost wonder, like, should I keep this with my Gloss Gods palettes or should I put this with my singles? Because usually when I have a palette that's all shimmers, I keep it in my singles collection. I don't know, but it is beautiful. I just haven't used it yet, which is sad. I did also purchase the Lychee palette from Gloss Gods because I think it was on sale for like $7 or something like that. I decluttered that palette. I just didn't like it as much. I could tell it was an older Gloss Gods formula for sure. Like the shimmers weren't special, they weren't impactful. I got rid of that pretty quickly after trying that palette out. So that one did go. Then more palettes. We have the NBA Cosmetics Wandering Soul palette. This was on my list of palettes this was on my list of brands to try, NBA Cosmetics. And when I saw the theming for this, plus the color story, I knew this was the one for me. NBA Cosmetics is okay. It's not like my top list of indie brands. I do think that they're private labeled. So the shimmers aren't as special as like some other hand-pressed shimmers. It's just okay. Like if a color story came out that really spoke to me, and the price was right, I would purchase from them. But really, I don't stalk their Instagram page seeing what their next new release is. I don't think they're special enough. Like a lot of their shimmers are kind of just standard shimmers, but I do like having this palette and I think it's really, really beautiful. I also made a purchase from Glam Shop. They had kind of also been on my list to try for a while. I had purchased some singles from them, but then this palette was released and I figured this was going to be my first palette from them. They are a Polish indie brand. So this is the Z Fliotem palette and it looks like this. It was unused in my collection, but I have, as of this moment, done one look with it. I'm trying to finish it, no pan left behind. It's a really pretty palette. Love purples, love pinks, love browns. I use this like Diamante shade. which looks like a pink shimmer, but this is like all sparkle. It is like one of the prettiest, like glitter, non-glitter shades I've ever seen in my life. It looked so, so pretty. Really, really liked this shade, and I'm happy to have this palette. The thing with Glam Shop though is that they do discontinue their palettes quite quickly, so you really have to jump on them right away or you'll just kind of miss out on it, and I don't love that. I also picked up this palette, which I'm not going to attempt to pronounce, but it's kind of like a greeny, grungy tone palette. Definitely a fall palette. Looks like this, and that's because they were discontinuing this palette and it was on sale for like $8, so I figured I might as well throw it in my cart. Have not used it. Have not used it at all. Really need to though. This is definitely like a fall palette, so need to prioritize this ASAP and just get this out of the way for No Pan Left Behind. But that was one that I also picked up. And then I have two more products that I purchased in October. The last palette is the Glaminatrix Nocturnal palette. Glaminatrix had discontinued this palette, but then they re-released it in this little mini size, and I snatched it up right away. This was kind of a palette that didn't really catch my eye right away. The pan sizes were bigger, but when it was a little bit less expensive because the pan sizes were smaller, I figured I would kind of complete my Glaminatrix collection because I do love Glaminatrix a lot. I don't purchase every single palette from them, but I purchase most of their palettes. I'm sorry you can hear my mom's dog barking outside. She's a little Maltese and she's a little shithead, so we're just going to ignore her. But this palette, haven't used yet. I do have it on my list to use for fall. We'll see if I get to it. I'm going to try my best. And then the last thing in October, my only non-eyeshadow palette for October is a Dolce & Gabbana bronzer. Like I said, I was on a luxury bronzer kick last year. I kind of wanted to try different luxury bronzers and then do a video ranking them. If you'd like to see that video, let me know. Maybe I'll still do it. But this is what this bronzer looks like. And this bronzer I did purchase again with like my $50 credit because we were now in the last half of the year. So this is what I ended up purchasing. And it's a good one. Actually, out of the three that I purchased, so the YSL and the Giorgio Armani, this is probably my favorite because it's not too matte, it's not too shiny, it goes on really smoothly, there's no kick up, you can kind of just apply it, not pay attention, and it's great. Love it a lot. We are getting through these products. My mouth is starting to feel really dry, but hang in there with me. Let's go over November. So for November, I purchased 6 things. Yes. And let's start with the only non-eyeshadow palette. This is the Huda Beauty Easy Blur. My husband actually purchased this for me, but I did ask him to purchase it. He was in Sephora when he was visiting Dubai. He had to get like another cologne. He asked what I wanted, and it just felt fitting to get a Huda Beauty product when he was in Dubai. So I wanted to try this foundation. I did do a review on this, and I quite like this. I didn't like it as much as I thought. I do prefer their faux filter foundation stick as far as Huda Beauty foundations, but this is a nice one. Nothing really bad to say about it. It's not one that wouldn't be like my top 10 foundations by any means, but it's okay. And then probably my most disappointing purchase of the year, the one that I regret the most, but I cannot declutter, are these little Patrick Ta duos. I just hate myself for purchasing these, honestly, because I told myself I wasn't going to, and then I did because I had to find out if they were worth the hype. Spoiler alert, they're not worth the hype. They're still available online on the Patrick Ta website, and I highly recommend not picking them up. I picked up 2 shades. I picked up the Do You Know Who I Am, which is like 2 different golds. And then I purchased the Still at the Club, which is like the 2 taupey ones. They're just not special. They're not sparkly. They're average for $40, like $20 a shade. I rather would have gotten like some indie shadows. I don't know why. It just puts a bad taste in my mouth. It makes me unhappy. The next palette that I purchased was the Too Faced Happily in Love palette. This was my first Too Faced tin palette that I ever purchased, and I very much like this palette. I really want to use this No Pan Left Behind this year, prioritize it. It smells nice. I can totally see where the hype came from for these Too Faced tin palettes. I don't know why it took me so long to purchase one, but I'm very happy to have it. And then 2 more palettes to talk about. These I didn't purchase. They were actually decluttered to me, but I'm going to go over them all the same. They are the Natasha Denona Sunrise and then the Bronze palette. Like I said, I think when we talked about the Golden and the I Need a Warm, I don't remember what else was in here, but I was trying to complete my collection for Natasha Denona middies because you can pop the shades out, and I thought it would be really cool to use all the middies and see if I could dupe out other palettes. So I have all the backs labeled and stuff, and then I never have done a video on it other than the Makeup by Mario Moonlight palette, but it's fine. Eventually I will. This is the Sunrise, quite an old palette, one of her original middies, and yeah, got this one decluttered to me. And then the Bronze one I also got decluttered, and it looks like this. I never purchased these palettes because they were way too warm tone for me. They were not something that I was really interested in when they released. I think the first midi I purchased was actually the Glam, which everyone was like screaming about how great it was for a cool tone palette, and it's really not actually that cool tone. Anyways, these were my last 2 palette purchases or declutters in November. And now we go into December, which is where I actually don't have anything. If you were subscribed to my channel last year around December, then you know December was a pretty tough month for me. My brother actually passed around the middle of the month on the 11th, and I kind of just like abandoned my YouTube channel. It was very unexpected. So I had like immediately flown back to Arizona, which is where my brother lived, to plan his funeral and wrap everything up. I did not film a purchases or empties, so I don't even know what I purchased in December, but I can tell you it was a lot because I was sad. I was very sad. I did do a purchases and empties in January, and I think I kind of just combined the purchases in that video. I did take a look at that video, but I couldn't decipher what I purchased in December versus what I purchased in January. It was just a huge blur for me. So I decided to go forward. Like, I'm just going to start clean. Like, we're going to count December as like null and void, pretend that that month just doesn't exist. And next time I do this, like for 2025, going over my purchases, I'll just count all of those in January. It's fine. It's not a big deal. This is not a life or death situation. So that means officially we've talked about all of my purchases for 2024. It was a lot. It was a lot, wasn't it? Let's go over the numbers really, really quickly to just tell you what I purchased. I added it all up and I purchased 71 items in 2024. Now, I thought it would be interesting to see how many of those I decluttered out of my collection and how many of those I haven't used. So out of those 71 items, I have decluttered 13 of them, which isn't a great number. Like, obviously I want to see 0. That would be the goal. But 13 is less than I thought, because when I was going through, I was like, man, I decluttered that. Man, I decluttered that. It was mostly towards the beginning of the year. So I'm not upset with that. However, 15 of those items, which is about 20%, are items that I have not used, have not touched, have not swatched, have not done anything with. And that to me is actually the more disappointing number, because at least when I decluttered them, I tried them, I didn't like them. I know in the future not to buy a Kiko Milano eyeshadow. I'm just not going to do that. So I learned my lesson. But when they're not used, to me, that's more wasteful than actually decluttering it. So I'm a little bit disappointed to see out of those items, 15 of them I haven't used. I am really trying to rectify that and use all of those, mainly palettes. I think they're all palettes that I haven't used. And I've been a lot better with my purchasing in 2025. And that's with 0 rules applied to me. I have not purchased that much other than January, which again, we're not speaking about, but I've been pretty good. I think it's going to be much better go forward, and we can only hope that every year following is a little bit better. Anyways, though, let me know your thoughts down below. How much did you purchase in 2024? Do you sit down and kind of just like look over all of your purchases to see the same thing, like how much you've purchased, what you've kept, what you didn't like? Does it affect your purchasing decisions go forward? I'd love to have a conversation down below in the comments with you. After that, though, this is where I'm going to leave you all. I hope you're having a great one, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.